It's Monday, June 16th, 2025. I'm Neil Johnson with Lawrence Evans and Company, and this is the Morning Call, Healthcare News and Deals. Well, happy Father's Day, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend.
I mean, it couldn't beat the weather, right? I mean, it was great.
Yeah, Dave, hopefully your kids, gave you at least a card and a kiss and maybe even cooked you some dinner.
Well, no, I did the cooking, but no, we had a great weekend. It was a good time. Got a lot of stuff done around the house, and the kids were awesome. So, all in
John?
all, can't really complain.
All good as well.
I think you
Get the
said you
cook-
were cooking, you had the barbecue going this weekend.
Yeah. Stay out of my way. That's always a good Father's Day. Let me do my thing.
Nice. Well, it was a U.S. Open, a little rain delay. What a mess. Some almost flooding going on, but what a unbelievable ending. JJ
Crazy.
dropping in that long putt. I mean, great way to finish up. But
After a 40 on the front.
I mean, I would still love to play that kind of golf. But I think the over I heard of for the weekend was -2, and they were pretty spot on. So I would have thought, at least maybe a 4 under. Or a lot of times, when you start seeing that 12 or 18 or so, is it too easy? So really, really tough course, I hear. Well, on to the news today. I know, again, continued busy activity. We saw here in the marketplace, the big one, I'm going to make note, 23andMe. Pull up some news here, but 23andMe now heading with the bankruptcy, going
Back to their nonprofit roots, looks like.
Yeah, 23andMe sold back to Anne, the founder, to her nonprofit for $305 million. So Regeneron, I think, was around $250, and everyone thought that was going to be the completed bid. We thought about some nonprofit might be ultimately. So great to see that the data going there, still without its challenges with the litigation. Some of the states I know suing on behalf of the patients or members with the data. So good luck with Ann, and we'll see ultimately what happens there in the long term. Cover My Meds, part of McKesson, based here in Columbus, Ohio. Ultimately, they're acquiring RX Lightning and FastAuth to streamline specialty medication access. I don't think they've really done an acquisition in a long time. Obviously, McKesson very active, but Cover My Meds. So good to see some activity regaining back there in the health IT and prior auth space. Datavant acquires Ontellus from Aquiline and Cap Street to revolutionize medical records. The financial sponsors, New Mountain Capital, Arden Equity, Axion Partners. New Mountain, I know, very active in a lot of health IT and revenue cycle. Quite a network here putting that together. Ridgemont Equity Partners invest in Unisquare to accelerate AI-powered digital engineering health. Ridgemont Equity very active in the healthcare as well as transportation logistics. So I'm not as familiar with this asset, but they do remain very active in the industry sectors. MRO Corp acquires Qcentric in strategic clinical data platform. It's backed by Parthenon Capital and TPG Growth. So this MRO,
this would be an interesting one to watch.
In terms of just with the possibility of further success, or the fact that it doesn't look too different from what we mentioned earlier.
Well, I think both, actually, John, to be honest with you. But I think, as we were talking, the group of us were talking a little bit earlier, Parthenon, they've been making some very smart investments. And I think trying to see how this kind of plays into the rest of the portfolio is going to be interesting, because I think it has broader application across their holdings than just this particular transaction. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes.
I mean, combining this,
Neil?
and so with a entity, 2,000 hospitals, 7,000 clinics, that's quite a reach here. And so hopefully they can, take that clinical data and merge it and make it actionable. So we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, as long as Epic is thrilled.
Instrumentum expands national reach with acquisitions of SPDX and SPSA. Sterile processing as a service. I haven't seen this one yet, but I think outsourcing in general is what we see. So sterilization as a service. I guess that's the alternative SaaS model.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Whatever your sterile kit you pick up will be sterile, as opposed to, did Jim put that in the sterilizer? I don't know.
Well, quality, as we all know, is an issue sometimes. And so I guess it would make sense, outsourcing this service as well as making sure your equipment's up to date. St. James RVA acquires White Cloud Therapeutic Service in strategic mental health expansion. We continue to see activity in behavioral health and mental health. Outcomes for Me expands global cancer support platform. The acquisition of, if I'm going to say this right, Fasanus Mika Health app out of Berlin. So really a patient engagement platform, I believe, on oncology globally. Good to see that we're still active here. Lawrence Evans and Company. Dave, why don't you talk?
Yeah, this was a great deal. We managed to serve as the exclusive advisor to the buyer of a behavioral health group here in Ohio. We managed to structure and execute a sale leaseback on 6 assets for them, and we did it in about 3 weeks. So this was a fun deal to work on. It was very fast paced. I'm really proud of it. I think the client, I think, ended up quite happy with both the execution and the terms.
And that you had to get that done in under a month, I thought.
Yeah, 3 weeks. So we consider that might be a new record. I don't want to make them all that way, but it's nice to see we can get things done when we have.
Yeah, when you really focus, deals can get done, and congratulations on that. Good to see it get completed. Pilot Wall Group, Equalize RCM bolsters RCM services with the Acquisition Management Resource Group. Pilot Wall Group, an interesting organization, diversified on the payer RCM. They own some hospitals. And so Equalize RCM with one of their partners, Nagi, is leading that. And they continue to grow within the RCM space. HIG Capital acquires UK's, is it ITH Group in partnership, Blumenhamel?
ITH?
I don't know.
Not too familiar with that. Overseas there. Madison Dearborn Partners acquires significant stake in NextGen Healthcare, and they partner with Tama Bravo. So NextGen, revenue cycle, cloud data services continue to be an attractive investment. I think ideally it probably needed to get some liquidity back to the investors initially here, trying to get some capital out, bring some new investors in, I would assume. And it looks like a little bit of a management change with their COO now becoming CEO in a transition. University of Mississippi Medical Center acquires Merit Health Madison. It looks like a community hospital getting rolled up into the University of Mississippi organization. Continue to see a lot of that with the smaller hospitals having to make decisions, and maybe tough decisions for their community to ultimately survive. I think that trend is going to continue.
Agreed.
Allied OMS secures strategic investment from 65 Equity Partners and Everberg Capital. This is a dental service, oral surgery platform. Looks like a lot of players involved, but it's good to see some dental activity getting completed, because I know that DSO market has been a little quieter, especially on the larger side of it. So good to see some activity getting done. I know a lot of players were involved in this and helping it push through. So on to venture and other news. To note, Amazon, I don't know if anybody saw that, looking to kind of restructure into the 6 divisions, and a little off track here. So I know they've struggled with their clinic side and some of their other businesses. But as we look at investments, Commons Clinic secures $26 million from Series B. RA Capital, Floating Point, others for whole body specialty care.
I think this is interesting. I think this is an easy investment for their partners to have made. Whole body specialty care, it's not cheap, and there's a lot of margin in it. And you're creating this deep dive into a holistic look at the person's health and be able to act on that. As you described it, Neil, it's a longevity play where that is a very active space. But again, there's great margins in this business.
Yeah, longevity continues to be really hot, led investors, conversations a lot that we have, even with friends and family, over new testing or other opportunities. Here we go. Autonomized AI secures $28 million. Some of the notables, Truist, Cigna Ventures. So really AI, continue to automate as we see workflows at different ways to utilize AI. And lastly, Eli Health raising $12 million. Again, some big names here, Thrive Fund, Muse Capital, amongst many others.
I love seeing that there is activity in the early rounds, Series A and stuff. It's great to see some things loosening up.
Well, again, this one I'm not too familiar with, but it looks like more along that longevity in certain ways. You talk about the saliva-based device delivering instant results via
And
your
$8 a
smartphone.
test, you should be able to get a lot of people to subscribe to that.
Only $8. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, just a cup of coffee,
that's right.
especially the lattes that Dave's son ends up getting. Those are about $8 each. I'm just
That's great.
plain coffee. Well, that's our news for this week. Anything else that we should be thinking about? Any new innovations? Any good jokes? Well, thank you.
Neil, don't distract me. We got to get back to work.
We're almost the mid-year here. 4th of July around the corner. I can't believe it. The longest day of the week coming up this weekend, I believe. The summer solstice, June 21st, I believe. So make sure you are staying out past your bedtime because it'll still be light. And I know I will try to be. I'm falling asleep earlier and earlier. I feel like, is that just old age? Is that me? I don't know. My wife calls me
wisdom,
narcoleptic. Narcoleptic, I think, is the last key.
I was going with wisdom, but I'll take yours.
I'll take the wisdom. Well, thank you for joining us. Please subscribe. Please continue to read and update and let us know what news and innovations you're working on. We'll talk to you next week.
All right.
I'm
Thanks,
Neil
everybody.
Johnson, Lawrence Evans Companies, my colleagues, Dave Opelek and John Ziegler.